Hey, what's going on there, folks? Welcome back here to a Sunday morning update. It is the Earthmaster, May 5th, 2024, about 9:21 a.m. California time. Latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D globe shows a 1.1 into the region of California. Did see some larger movement overnight. We'll get to that here in just a little bit. I want to chat about all this X-flare activity popping off here from a very active sunspot region. Also, we got another companion down here across the southern region of the sun that we got to watch for as well in terms of larger flare potential. Look at that, peeking out here overnight. Two decent sized X flares here. Looks like a an X1 point. Let's see what we got here. X1.3 and an X1.2, as noted in this cluster flaring activity observed overnight. Now, it's been sizzling here with some M-flare activity. We've seen quite a bit of M-flare activity, and we're still stair-stepping up here in terms of complexity. It looks like across the area in the M-flare category right now. So there's still always some potential here of seeing some further X-flare activity, maybe even larger than what we've seen here. Look at that. It's really kicked up in the last 24 hours. As if we could draw a line right here, we could pretty much draw it right up into the middle M-flare category, and that's definitely an active sunspot region. Again, 2 X-flares overnight, 3 X-flares in the last 3 days here. So it's a pretty decent amount of flaring activity observed from that sunspot, which is sunspot number 3663 up here. Very complex sunspot, and this is the image from last night. So let's check out the most recent image, and still shows quite a bit of complexity here within this region. Also another sunspot down here looking like it's trying to get its act together in terms of complexity within that magnetic core. We'll continue to watch both of these sunspots here for some strong flaring. Now the overall threat shows 25% chance here for an X flare, M flare at 75% chance, and C flare around 99% chance or so. And far as anything being Earth directed, let's see if they've updated the imagery here from the Space Weather Prediction Center. This is going to be it right here. We'll go ahead and check this out. I know we got the Aurora potential coming in tonight. We'll take a look at that here in just a second. It doesn't look like they've updated this. So the one expected here tonight is coming in from that previous X flare, the first X flare. It does look like we'll get, just barely a glancing blow from this CME that was produced a couple days ago. They have not updated anything in terms of what could be taking place here in the next couple days. That's going to be interesting to watch here and see if any of these other X flares have an Earth-directed eruptive component on it. So here is tonight's Aurora forecast. Still expecting it to be around the KP index of 5 or so. And again, this is from the official site here, Space Weather Prediction Center. Here's the view line down here in the red. Overhead auroras, obviously more into Canada and Alaska. And further areas up closer to the polar regions. We might have a visible line here if you have a clear shot of the northern horizon, no clouds in the way, and maybe a long exposure camera. Might be able to see some auroras down there across the northern tier states. That's just the forecast that's being put out. It could be less, it could be potentially more, depending on how the Earth's magnetic field reacts to the incoming plasma, the plasma cloud coming in. So here on the solarham.com site, they're issuing what looks like maybe up into the 6 range. So that's May 5th, 18 to 24 UTC time. That's going to be coming up tonight. It's May 5th, 1600, so late afternoon, evening time period. Hopefully this holds up. We don't want to get this coming early because then we won't be able to see it because it'll still be light out here across the this side of the Earth. But yeah, later tonight, we'll have to see how this holds up in terms of their forecast out here. Could be an active night, could be a complete dud. I guess the best way to know is to go check it out for ourselves later tonight when it gets dark. There's the X-flare events out there so far. This shows the last 48 hours, but I think it's been a little bit over that for this X-flare. Either way, 3 X-flares in the last couple days, lots of M-flares. That thing is sizzling. It looks like it does want to produce some more stronger flare activity. So we'll keep an eye on it. There's quite a bit of activity stirring up out there from that one sunspot. Current Aurora forecast, not a whole lot going on, so we're still waiting on the arrival of that plasma cloud coming in from the sun, that CME that was produced there a couple days ago. The UV filter here shows the some of the flaring. Look at this region down here. It looks all crazy looking. Still got some potential of seeing some flaring from that, stronger flaring from this area as well. But I think the main one, look at these magnetic arches here. Keep an eye on that. Could see some more X-flares throughout the day today. All right, so have we seen any major earthquake uptick following all this large flare activity? Well, from a wording, right, if you want to say large, I would say no. I mean, anyone could say a 5.6 is a large earthquake if it's directly underneath their feet, but looking at these maps every day, we haven't seen any signs of increasing earthquake activity here across the planet following the X-flare activity. Multiple large M-flares, all Earth-directed. Nothing major going on here. Obviously, there's earthquake activity, but this can happen on any given day with or without space weather activity. So it's one of those things for now that goes in the books as a non-relation between the two. I've been keeping a tally here of space weather events, X-flares, strong flares, proton events, CME impacts, and the relationship to earthquake activity and elevated tectonic movement out here on the planet. But the last couple days have been very minimal in terms of earthquake activity. As far as large-scale movement goes, again, Papua New Guinea, 4s and 5s, very common across this area. Same for the Kermadec Trench, New Zealand area, seen an earthquake there yesterday at 4.4, but really no elevated large-scale movement. We'll wait and see how the CME affects the planet. I think, if anything, CMEs play a more distinct effect on the potential uptick in earthquake activity out here. It would kind of make sense. It's more of a pressurization on the Earth's magnetic field that could affect areas at the surface level and create some further earthquake activity down here across the plates. All right, so let's look, and we'll watch that for tonight. If we get a nice impact later tonight, we should see things kick up a little bit. But we'll watch that. That's what I'm here for, to continue to keep an eye on that little theory that's been out there for a while. 5.2 Alaska early this morning. Again, the Aleutian Trench can see 5-pointers on any given day. California, really not seeing anything major going on in terms of any large-scale movement. Here's the 2.5 map and above. Let's zoom in here and see what we got. 3.4 off the coast, Northern California. Aside from that, most of this earthquake activity here from yesterday. Quite a bit of microquake activity, but it does look like things have calmed down here in Southern Cal since last night. Excuse me. So it looks like a typical day out here across the West Coast. Got sunshine. Had some nice rain. Picked up about 0.6 of an inch of rain here at my place yesterday. So, yeah, kind of nice. Keeping that ground moisture content up and elevated. A couple smaller quakes here on the creeping segment of the San Andreas Fault, but that's always creeping. It's always moving. That's why they call it the creeping segment. It's almost consistently seen earthquake activity on any given day. It doesn't really lock and load compared to the rest of these other areas of the plate boundary. Not a whole lot going on through the Pacific Northwest nor the Yellowstone area, but let's just double check. See what we got here. I'm really not seeing anything major going on here across the area. No earthquake activity as noted on the recorded seismographs. Let's go check out Hawaii, though, see if anything stirred back up here. It was slowing down overnight. Things look like they're continuing to slow down here, at least across this area. 11 earthquakes. It's not really a whole lot. Things have mellowed out, if anything, in that area following all this flaring activity. Let's go check out some seismograph stations here, see if the information is being reported out here, which I'm sure it is to an extent. Yeah, much quieter here. Very minimal earthquake activity, only a few in the last 24 hours. Not a whole lot here in the last 12 hours. They got 1, maybe 2, 3, 4, but really, that's super quiet compared to the days past here. So that means, let's see what tilt meter is doing here. Actually, we're taking a nice sharp rise up right now. So possibly we could see this earthquake activity increase following the inflation event right now. This is the past 2 days. We've been fairly stationary here on the map in terms of inflation at the summit over the past couple days. Here's the weekly chart. Notice right now we're starting to stair step up again, and we'll probably be over this previous level. That's a sign of magma increasing below the area inflation. So we'll watch that. Could see earthquake activity pick up later today. I don't think they put out an update yet. Let's see. In terms of their volcanic update, I could have checked that previous one here, but that's okay. Nope, this was put out yesterday here. They just kind of chatted about the earthquake activity and the significantly declining earthquake activity. So we'll continue to watch that, folks. I mean, it's going to do what it's going to do. Right now, it's just taking a little break. All right, areas across the rest of the country here. Texas, Oklahoma, New Madrid seismic zone had a little earthquake here, 2.0 from yesterday. Up in New Jersey as well. Really not seeing anything major going on out here. Most of this movement from yesterday. Across the rest of the area, got one little earthquake here around the Cayman Islands area, 4.2. Just coming in about 15 minutes or so ago outside the Georgetown area, it looks like. This is a portion of the Caribbean plate along with the North American plate here. This area has been squeezed a little bit here in the last week or so. Still looks like there wants to be a little bit of movement up here across the plate boundary. Puerto Rico Trench, some 2s and 3s, and a 4-pointer coming into the Dominican Republic area early this morning. So that's telling me here, along with this earthquake, that we're still seeing things adjusting out here across this area. South America, typical movement out there. A lot of older quake activity from yesterday. One newer one down into the South Sandwich Trench of 5.4. Remember, I just mentioned last night, keep an eye on the rest of the subduction zone for further adjustment, because where has all the earthquake activity been recently? Mainly up north. So this is a very small, complex subduction zone, but it makes sense, right? When one area adjusts and see some movement, that we'll see the adjustment elsewhere across this plate boundary. Very small subduction zone, but it's, compared to other subduction zones areas out here, this is very small. But either way, looks like we're seeing a little adjustment further down south as expected. We'll continue to watch this area for some further movement today. And there's New Zealand. Let's see what we got on the globe here. Older activity from yesterday. 5.2 up in Alaska. We covered that. The area of Iceland. Let's go check it out here real quick and see what's going on here. Got, oh goodness, got a little bit of earthquake activity stirring up here across the entire rift zone here of Iceland, at least in this area, and the Grindavik area as well. Yeah, Yeah, it's interesting here. Let's check the visual perspective and see what's going on at the surface level. If these are working, which they are. There we go. I was waiting for it. At least one active remaining crater out there in our ongoing eruption there across Iceland, a long duration event. But I think that's the only one for now, and I don't think we've seen any further fissure activity open up out here, which I believe we could see happen soon. We could see either a major further influx of magma to the area below this crater, increasing the volume of output in terms of lava, or we could see a new fissure event take place somewhere around the region. It's very possible we could see that take place anywhere around the Grindavik area or within the vicinity. Hopefully it's outside of town, but there's always some concern of it being within town. It's a possibility. Here is the Grindavik 8-hour run times here. Notice the inflation continues to go up and up and up and up, along with the ongoing eruption that's occurring just to the northeast here. So things are getting close and elevated now. We're at that time frame here where we got to watch for another eruption out there across the area. Let me go back here and see. There's really not a whole lot of concentrated earthquake activity in one specific region, like prior to any other fissure activity opening up in the last few eruptions here. We've seen hundreds upon hundreds of earthquakes literally happen about a half an hour to an hour prior to eruptive activity opening up there at the surface level. Right now I'm not seeing that. There's just more of a broad scale area of earthquake movement, and that ultimately could affect, it's a rift zone, right? Ultimately could affect further inflow of magma to the area. All right, we got some big-time severe weather to chat about here tomorrow. Looks like it could be a serious day. The Storm Prediction Center here is already issuing a moderate risk here for tomorrow, Monday, across areas where I was just at last week. Goodness, there was a lot going on last week, and it looks like this week, or at least Monday, tomorrow, is going to be a very active day as well. Now, there is a pretty decent severe weather potential event taking place with an elevated tornado potential. Look at this huge hatched area, 15% chance here of tornado probability. That could go up. Literally, tomorrow is not a day to be complacent. It's Monday. Most people are going to be going back to work. This could be, though, let me see, when I think this is going to be a late afternoon, Monday night type event. Move eastward. Numerous severe thunderstorms are expected to develop and move eastward Monday afternoon through Monday night across parts of the southern and central plains area. So this could be late afternoon, evening time period. Either way, whether you're at work tomorrow or you're just getting off work, at home, relaxing with the kids, the family, you got to stay weather aware out here tomorrow, because it's a big deal when these guys are throwing up huge numbers like this. A lot of times it doesn't happen, right? They'll throw out even a high risk day and nothing happens. There's one ingredient that wasn't there to make the weather happen. But what if everything comes together tomorrow and we have a tornado outbreak in this area? Oklahoma City included in that hatched area, Tulsa, Wichita, Topeka, and Norman, Oklahoma. The 15% area right here as well. That includes Lawton, Edmond, Norman, all these areas. Whether you're in the 15% or the 2%, be weather aware tomorrow. That is a huge tornado threat out here, and that means in the hatched area, could see in the EF2 to EF5 tornado, could be some long track tornadoes out there as well. So not a day to turn a nose to the weather, because it could be a big deal. Also some wind and potential for some large hail out there. This is a severe hail maker as well. Could see hail I think they mentioned around 4 inches or so, up to 4 inches. That's a pretty powerful hailstone should that thing come down. Yeah, I think it said about up to 4 inches. I'm not seeing it on here right now. But either way, yeah, big time hailmaker out here. So keep your car somewhere safe. Maybe your roof as well. I know a lot of people have those sheet metal type roofs, and that's probably a smart idea out there because they get those guys get a lot of hail out there and some big ones. So tomorrow, stay weather aware. It's a big deal. After that, let me go back here and see. There's our low pressure that is moving off from California. Going to stir up the weather potential out here across this area tomorrow. Low pressure going to be centered well up north, but there's a lot of moisture in here. That low pressure is fairly strong, going to provide quite a bit of lift into the environment, creating those supercells. And then, of course, that moves in through the nighttime. After that, as far as any severe weather potential, it looks like the pattern changes a little bit. I'm not seeing any specific troughs out here that would create that type of severe weather. Just thunderstorm activity, and that's a given. But not really seeing anything in terms of a severe weather maker, at least for the next that would be probably at least the next 10 days following tomorrow's event. So we got to get through tomorrow, and then after that, it looks like there's a little break. California, we're enjoying some nice cool weather right now. There is a low pressure system. You can kind of see it off here, lingering the cold air here at the surface. Nice and warm and toasty across the rest of the country. Here next week in California, we're going to start to bake. A lot of warmer air coming into the area. I think we're going to be up into the low 90s out here. There's low 80s on Thursday. I was looking on the forecast here. I did see some 90s. Looks like towards next weekend here, upper 80s. And, yeah, there we go. There's our 90s popping in for the weekend. 93 Yuba City, 91 up in Redding. Going to be a toasty one out here. Looks like a ridging is going to take place out here across the west coast. A little bit of cooling out here. You can kind of follow the weather patterns here. This colder air coming down with the jet stream across this area of the country. But we're going to cook out here. I may have to set up the pool for the kids. We'll keep an eye on this. I mean, I think that's pool weather for sure. All right, seismographs, guys, pretty quiet right now. Again, watch for auroras later tonight once it gets dark. And, all is well out here on the home front in terms of earthquake activity. No major elevated activity following all this flaring activity. But I think I'm leaning more towards the direct impact of a CME or elevated like proton event. That's when things stir up here at the surface level. Seems to get that special spark going. With the plate tectonics, but we'll keep an eye on it. It's just a theory out there like many other scientific ideas and observations. Have a good one. We'll catch you guys back out here a little bit later on this evening. Take care, folks.